Jesus is his name, and I'm all about him. I live to bring him praise. He is the way and the truth and the life. God is 3 in 1, reigning undefeated. Our God is overcome. Jesus, Jesus.
Hello and welcome, one and oh. Today's God Code is going to be brought to you by Nature Joe at your service. We're going to look at some of God's beautiful, magnificent beasts as they come walking right in front of us as we sat yesterday looking into God's golden word. Right here, we were sitting reading the magnificent, truth-filled word of God, and these beasts in their natural habitat just came through and just planted themselves right in front of us. So as you watch the clip next, I want you to see how stoked I am, first off, for you to see these animals and these magical, wonderful, spectacular beasts that God has created with his own 2 hands. It's going to be magical. Now I just want you to buckle your seatbelt, get ready for the wildest journey that you have been on thus far in the God Code. It's going to be wonderful as you watch these beasts, see in their natural habitat how they have just enjoyed each and every moment of eating their berries, drinking their water, just living their lives. These beasts we're going to watch next, so comfortably living what they think is the best of life. And then we're going to see right after that, as Jordan returns to join us, Nature Joe will be gone. He will be no longer. After that, we're going to see just how wonderful and spectacular and magical it is what God has for us in his word, showing us that in our natural habitat that is not the best life we have been given, but God has more for you and for me, and I thank God for that. Now watch this next clip as these animals in their natural habitat, these beasts, these magical, spectacular, wonderful beasts. Watch this clip, and this is what transpired yesterday as we were just sitting in God's creation. So buckle your seatbelts, get ready, here they come. What's up, guys? I can't do that voice anymore. That was really hard. I hope that was alright. I was trying to do my best impression I could in the Animal Planet voice, but I don't know if that was good or not. So you guys just let me know. Hope you enjoyed that. That was Nature Joe bringing in some God Gold for you. Talking about these clips that you just saw, these deer walking up. And I was literally sitting here yesterday reading my Bible, doing some work for the week ahead, and literally a deer walked up, and then another one, and then another, and then another. Like 7 deer walked up right in front of me, and it was crazy. I sat here and videoed the whole thing, and afterwards I was showing Sarah, I was showing everybody, because I was like, how crazy, like right across this pond I'm sitting at, these deer just walk up out of nowhere. Like, that's wild. Like, not that far from me, and I'm just sitting here like freaking out. Like, I can't move, I can't do anything because they're gonna run. I wanted to see how long this would last, and to me it's crazy. But as we noticed there, I noticed something about the deer that matches my life a lot. How so often we get very used to just walking through life, eating our berries, drinking our water here and there, not a care in the world, just doing us, you know, just living our lives. The sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, and that's just it. We're comfortable just walking with our buddies, with our family, whoever those deer were. I don't know if it was like a bunch of friends or a family. I don't know how deer work. I didn't even know they walked in packs like that. I thought that was wolves, but it's cool. Obviously they roam together, so good for you, deer. But as I was looking at that, like how comfortable they were in their natural habitat, just eating the berries and just eating different things and drinking their water, just doing them, like no big deal. But what I noticed next is I couldn't take the silence any longer. I'm a little too ADD to be still for that long. So I wanted to see, like, I didn't see any more deer coming. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to see what happens when I make a noise or move my feet around and the leaves rustle and like they see me moving and like see me over here. Like, I want to see what's going to happen. And as you'll see, when we are in our comfortable habitat, eating our berries, drinking our water, doing our thing, I want you to see in this clip next, how much does this remind you of yourself when trials and different things come up in our lives? So I'll let you watch this clip next, and we're going to dig right back into it. Just enjoy. Alright, what's up, guys? So, as you saw, those deer took off, and I'm pretty sure they're still running. They took off, and they just all immediately. I've never seen that like reaction that quick. It was just like, and they were gone, like so quick. And I noticed yesterday, so often in my life, and probably the same for all of us because we're all human, our human instinct when things come up like that, when we hear sudden noises, when sudden trials come up, is to run, to flee, and to get as far away from that as possible, that trial, because it takes us out of our comfort zone of just strolling around, eating our berries, drinking our water, hanging out with our buddies, and it makes it harder. Like, we know when those trials come out of nowhere, when that's the way they come, suddenly and quickly into our lives, that we get scared and we start thinking, oh no, not today. I can't handle this. I don't want to handle this. That's not going to be easy. And I just need to run. I need to get away from this because it's not what I want to deal with. It's not comfortable like I've been doing. So I'm going to go find another place. I'm going to run off away from this trial, find another place where I can be comfortable, where I can do my own thing, and nobody can hurt me, nobody can touch me. How many of us do that? Guilty. All day long. First sign of trouble, first sign of pain, first sign of sacrifice in my life, and trials, things that are tough, are hard, that challenge me, that push me, I want to run, I want to give up. And honestly, if you're sitting there and you're saying, well, that's not me, I'm tough, I handle it. No, you don't. Maybe you've handled stuff like that before. And some people are better than others at embracing these trials and not being fearful. But all of us, at some point or another, our human instinct inside tells us to run and to give up, whether we do it or not. That's what our instinct says. That's what the feelings that we have come up is, let's get out of here. We have to go. And it's that difference of when trials come up, we either fight or we flight. We either fight, we stand strong right there, and we jump into the trial, embrace it, and stand strong in it, or we flight, we fly away, we run. And I wanted to think about that because we can get so comfortable and we can get so bent on chasing after what's comfortable to us. What if God says, hold on. Now let me tell you something real quick. That may be how you feel, that you want comfort, that you want easy. That's always going to be how your flesh feels. But what if I told you that's not how it has to be? What if God says, that's not how it has to be because I've got even better for you outside of your comfort zone? What if God says that? Well, guess what? James 1:2-4. God does say a little something about that, and it's labeled testing of your faith. Verse 2, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And this verse is something I've read 1,000,000 times over. I've thought about it 100 times over. And it just hit me when we have these trials come up out of nowhere in our life. They arrive quickly. Everything's going good. We're just chilling. We're doing our thing like those deer were. And then all of a sudden a noise happens, a boom. Something crashes into our lives, an obstacle arises. Something sudden happens that makes us freak out and run and keep running until we find another place that we feel is comfortable enough for us to live our lives so that we don't have to go through pain and hardship. Well, that's what I noticed in this verse, how God turns everything all the way around and reverses everything. And he says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. Count it joy when something scary approaches us. Count it joy when an obstacle comes up, when we're facing a Goliath in our life that we see and we know we can't beat. Count it joy. Have joy about that. That didn't make sense to us. Like, everything in us, all our feelings are yelling, all our human instincts are yelling out for us to run. What does he mean by this? Why would we count that joy? Because we should be joyful about that. We should get excited about trials. And that sounds crazy to me too, but listen to this next part. Because when you go through those trials, when you embrace those trials and you get through those trials, something beautiful is produced through that pain and through that hardship and through that sacrifice that you can't purchase, that you can't find anywhere in this world. That there's not a place and a comfort zone you could build in this world and in this life for your flesh that is any better than what is produced when you stand strong and trust in God in a trial and learn more about him, and your faith is strengthened, that produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. There's nothing in this world that you could find, any kind of comfort that makes you feel good, that is better than what is produced after standing strong through a trial and trusting God through it all. That's been truth in my life in so many areas, especially this past year. I've went through things that I would have never signed up for, I would have never wanted to go through. But each and every time I went through something difficult and something that I did not want to go through, looking back, it was so cool to see how I learned, and I was humbled to the point where I realized I don't have enough. I didn't have what it took to get through. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the wisdom. I had no idea what I was doing, so I had to give it all to God because I had nowhere else to run. Because that's what trials bring. They're so hard and they're so big and they're so out of our comfort zone that we have no choice but to lean on God in those moments. And what's beautiful about that is if we embrace these trials, instead of saying, oh dear, I got to get out of here. I've been waiting to say that. So instead of saying, oh dear, I got to get out of here, God says, hold on, bro. This is exactly why you're here. Because in the moment, trials may seem bad, painful, and really hard in the moment. and scary, to be honest. And we find ourselves helpless and incapable in these moments. And when we give it all to God, that's when something beautiful occurs in our lives, where we learn not only how to lean into God and who He is and trust Him, but instead of trusting our feelings, instead of trusting what the world tries to sell us that says this is what's going to make you feel good and be comfortable and this is life, God says, hold on. Don't trust in your feelings. Don't trust in this world. Don't trust in how everyone else and all these other deer you're around are running at any sign of a noise, a sudden boom in their life, a trial, an obstacle that comes up. But God says, trust in me. Trust in me and who I am. God says to trust in Him during these trials. And when you trust in God, because these trials are testing of our faith, in our belief in who God is. And when we go through these trials and we get through these trials and we're made stronger and better for it, we realize in those moments when we're leaning on God that, wow, I can't do anything, but when I give everything to God, He delivers me every single time. And each time He does, our faith grows stronger, because we know more and more that He is faithful and He is always going to deliver us, that His love is greater than anything we will face. And what it produces in these trials that we couldn't buy or manufacture anywhere else in our lives or this world. So count it joy when you have these things come up in your lives. Instead of following your instincts and just running away like those deer did. Their instincts were to run because they saw something that they didn't understand, they didn't know, so they took off because it was out of their comfort zone. But God says, step out of your comfort zone, because I've got so much more for you that's going to be produced after you walk through these trials that test your faith. There's endurance that's going to be produced that is going to carry you on for the next battle and every battle to come after that in your life. And what's so cool about that, and I'm wrapping it up here, is when our faith grows stronger in who God is as He delivers us through those trials. And we learn more of who He is during those trials, because we're not leaning into self and what we got. We're leaning into God and what He has, because He's our only way. We receive freedom knowing that no matter what comes at us in this world, no matter what comes my way, no matter what sudden trial or obstacle comes into my life, no matter how scary it is, no matter how big it is, God is greater and God is going to carry me through it. And I can trust in that. And there's freedom in that, knowing that nothing in this world, nothing that comes my way can hurt me, because God has me in the palm of His hand. There's freedom in that. There's freedom from worry and doubt of this world and our lives as we know it. And these instincts that we have to be worry and doubtful, because we don't have to worry anymore, because God has us. He's in full control, and He's going to get us through every single time and produce things in our lives and in our hearts that we could never produce on our own. And it also says at the end that this endurance will help us, make us perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. When your faith is in God and you stand strong in these trials, when they suddenly come into your life as a child of God, you realize at the end, like, wow, I learned this lesson through it. Because what happens is you go through trials that are really hard. A lot of times you fail, and that's where failure happens. And failure is scary. That's another reason we run. The fear of failure and the fear of not being enough. Another reason we take off and run and flee. But another thing that grows us and makes us perfect and complete as God teaches us from our failures. If we never fail and step out of our comfort zones to see what else is out there, then we're going to live in a bubble that never gets any bigger. That our capacity to grow is going to always be the same size. And it's never going to enlarge in our lives and in our faith and who God is. But when you fail, you learn valuable lessons on what not to do and how to do things better. And you grow stronger in the Lord, and grow stronger in your knowledge of who He is, and grow stronger in your faith. So it has this effect that happens during these trials so that you may be perfect and complete. And then the end, lacking in nothing. Because when you realize through these trials, with God, you have it all. Nothing in this world can save you. You can't save you. But with God, you have it all. All you need is in God. And that's what these trials produce, because it takes you away from trying to do things on your own or trusting in this world, but it takes you to a place of trusting God and realizing during this time, as you grow closer to God, that with God you have it all. So you lack nothing. For he is our shepherd, and I shall not want, because there's nothing else that I can get from this world or my own self that God can't give me, that God isn't already. And that's just beautiful. That's the beautiful part about trials. And just wanted to use that example I saw from the deer, and wanted to remind you one more time, when trials come up in your lives, don't say, oh dear, I got to get out of here. Say, okay, God, this is why you have me here. And then embrace it, because it may be painful and it may be hard for a short amount of time, but it's going to be worth it to see what God produces in your life and how you come to know God in a deeper and more intimate way through that, as your faith is made stronger, more perfect and complete, and you realize that with God you're lacking nothing. And that's the most beautiful thing in the world. So hey, trial coming up, let's get excited, let's get pumped up, get joyful about it. So guys, I hope you have an awesome day. Hope that encourages you, and maybe Nature Joe will come back. I don't know, we'll see. Love you guys.
Let me tell you about him. Jesus is his name, and I'm all about him. I live to bring him praise. He is the way and the truth and the life. God is 3 in 1, reigning undefeated. Our God is overcome.